Get fast, reliable internet for any budget. Now qualifying customers can get Xfinity internet free through the Affordable Connectivity Program. That's right, free high-speed internet from Xfinity. And Internet Essentials customers can get equipment included at no extra cost. Get started today.
We change our minds every day. About 1 million things a day. This is no different. You can't be afraid to be wrong. You can't be afraid to say, you know what, I'm just going to rethink this thing. People are not dying getting the vaccine. I better rethink this thing. I'm going to go call my doctor and have a discussion one more time. It is okay to change your mind.
Moms and dads, listen, you're not the problem, but you are part of the solution. And this podcast is here to help you reach with your troubled child. Known as the Teen Whisperer, Jason Clopton counsels young adults and has a proven track record of reaching kids when parents can't. Listen and take notes. This show will help you figure out what's bugging your baby and build a bridge to a better relationship with your kids.
Back to another episode of the Teen Whisperer. I am your host, Brent Jones, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about healthy relationships. Yes, healthy relationships. Now, a lot of people struggle to even identify what a healthy relationship is. And there are different types of relationships. So one of the most common questions that I've received as someone who does this healing work within the community is, how do we talk to our children about healthy relationships? And I often tell parents and caregivers, it's not just about talking to your children about healthy relationships. It's also about modeling healthy relationships. So in today's episode, I'm going to show a graphic. I'm going to give you an exercise that you all can do and test out. And I'm going to give you a definition of what I consider to be a healthy relationship. And you could take this definition with you. You can plug it in. You can play with it. You can throw it out the window. It's completely up to you. It's just giving you a nice frame and understanding and a reference to what a healthy relationship is. And I say that because all too often, we don't have examples in healthy relationship in our media. So a lot of times we have young people who grow up without a lot of examples of what healthy relationships look like. And if we think about a lot of our current television shows or shows that are streaming online, and they use things like love in the title, a lot of them are toxic. A lot of them have extremely toxic behaviors going on within the shows. A lot of fighting, a lot of arguing, a lot of betrayal, lack of forgiveness. No one's sincere, not a lot of apologies. Not a lot of compassion. There's a lot of struggling that ends up happening in these relationships. So unfortunately, a lot of people, their ideas is that's what relationships are all about. And I'm not saying that relationships don't have their ups and downs. I've been married for over a decade, and they definitely do. But in order to have a healthy relationship, you have to be able to have a key factor. And I'm going to let you in on this before I give you the definition. And that key factor is you want to minimize harm to the folks that are involved. You don't want any harm done to you, and you don't want to cause any harm. And the key there is to make sure that there's a lot of open communication, make sure that the boundaries are identified. We talked about that last week's show. Make sure that you can articulate what those boundaries are, but then also what choices are you making? How are you responding to things? So that's not the definition for a healthy relationship, but those are some key factors to consider when we do talk about healthy relationships. So let me get to this definition, let you chew on a little bit, and then we'll keep talking and going through today. So this is how I define a healthy relationship. It is a bond, commitment, or contract between two or more parties where everyone involved is benefiting from and sacrificing something constructive, where all parties involved are being or are not being mistreated or harmed in any way. Let me give that to you one more time. It is a bond, commitment, or contract between two or more parties where everyone involved is benefiting from and sacrificing something constructive, where all parties involved are not being mistreated or harmed in any way. And that definition can be applied to intimate relationships, family dynamics, neighbors, classmates, friends, buddies, associates, all types of relationships. We have different types of relationships that we go through in our lives all the time. And a lot of times when we talk about healthy relationships, people, they zoom in on the intimate relationships because those are the ones, when it gets toxic, it can get very detrimental for our mental and emotional well-being all the time. But I want you to think a little broader than just to intimate, because there's different levels to relationships. And that's what I'm going to cover next in the diagram. We're going to go through what are those levels. And I'm going to cover 4 levels of what goes into relationships. And you want to make sure that that level of toxicity is low. You want to make sure that there is something constructive happening. Sometimes that's time. Sometimes that's just energy. Sometimes that's a listening ear. But you want something, some type of benefit that you get from the relationship. And you got to give up something. So I'm going to take a quick pause here, put up a chart, and we're going to dive right back in. Bear with me. All right, we are back. And this here, what you're looking at is what we call the circle of support, the circle of support. And the circles of support, I should say. Sorry about that. And the circles of support really highlight how we interact with people on different levels at all times. And many of us will go through these circles of support several different times in one day, because we're humans, right? We engage with folks, we learn from folks, we learn how to stay away from folks. We get all these types of different interactions, and those relationships usually fall in one of these 4 domains. So let's go over those 4 domains. The first one is what we call the circle of intimacy. This circle is made up of people we love, people we feel safe with, we're vulnerable with, and it includes very close family members and very close friends. Now, this can be people that we have more intimate relationships with, we're dating, their spouses, etc. Or this can just be the people that we keep close to us, the people that we feel, and this was the key word, most vulnerable with. These are the people who know the true you. They see you without all the mask on. They see you without all the filters. We don't have a lot of those people who fall in this circle. That's why it's the smallest one. But the people who do fall in this circle are very valuable to us and to our well-being. And as a parent or caregiver, you want to make sure that your child actually has somebody that falls in this circle. They need somebody that they feel super tight with, that they can connect with, and that they can be very transparent and open with. Sometimes it's a sibling, sometimes it's someone they're dating, it may be a best friend, it may be you. But as long as they have somebody in this area, typically they always have a nice outlet. So when adversity shows up or something doesn't go well, they can actually lean on someone and they don't struggle with things in isolation. Let's go to area number 2, the circle of friendship. This circle includes people who are good friends, people who you have coffee or tea with. You may go out to dinner or grab some lunch. You may spend some social time engaging with these folks. Now, these are people who, again, they're really close to you. You spend some time with them. You might not talk to them every day or see them every day, but these are your folks. These are the people that you're connected with. These are the people that when you're ready to go have a good time, you give them a ring because they're most likely going to be there. And here, you're not always getting vulnerable with these people. Sometimes you may be, but typically you're not letting out all the vulnerability. They serve a purpose in your life, and that doesn't mean that they need to be inside that intimacy circle. Now, can they transition to be part of that intimacy circle? Absolutely. But they serve us as an outer realm of friends, and that's healthy to have. The next area we're going to go to is the circle of participation. The circle of participation comprises of acquaintances from many different areas of our lives. These people can be from school, work, church, or social clubs. There's an opportunity for these people to move into the friendship or intimacy circle over time. So these are folks that we are acquaintances. They're more of associates, right? You might not call them up for a good time, but if you're out at a party or at a function and you run into these folks, you wouldn't mind spending some time with them or catching up or seeing what's going on. So these are folks that you see, you're friendly with. There's usually some kind of rhythm or routine when you are around them, and you have a nice engagement. They don't know all your deepest and darkest secrets. They don't know what's happening with you on a day-to-day basis, but they know you. They know what type of personality you have. They're connected with you. At this point in time, these are like the friends that come over for your child's graduation party or maybe even a birthday party. They don't come hang out on the weekends all the time, but periodically you see them, right? They may be teammates or someone who lives down the street who's just kind of cool, but you don't always see them hang out with your child. And then level 4 to circles of support are the circles of exchange. This circle includes those who are paid to be in your lives: doctors, teachers, social workers, case managers, other types of providers, etc. These relationships are purely transactional. Now, these are the folks who are service workers. They know they might, I mean, there's various different ways that these people can show up in your life, but these are the folks who they have a relationship with you, but it's transactional. They're usually providing a service or some level of care, and they're there just to be connected. Now, in these 4 areas, it's important for us to demonstrate to our children how to maintain a level of healthiness in all these areas. So often I see so many young people and parents who just let everyone into the circle of intimacy. Their businesses all across town. Everybody knows what's going on. They're putting it all over Facebook and other social media, and it just gets messy. It's very important that you understand that you have to relate to people different. And it's okay to put people in one area depending on what's happening, the situation or the time period, because it's all about you protecting who you are. And it's important for your child to understand that too, so they don't fall under those circumstances. Think about the young people that you know who's everybody's their BFF, everybody's their cousin, everybody is their friend. They just let them all in, right? They let all those folks in, and then their business is all over the place. And then what happens? You start to see anxiety go up. You start to see depressive symptoms go up. You start to see young people isolate. Start to see people not want to go to school, not want to go to practice, not want to go hang out at the rec center. A lot of different things end up happening because they haven't figured out just quite yet how to put people in the right friendship zones. And it's very important that we start to develop that as we go. So again, one of the best ways to teach your child or some young people in your life about how to relate to people healthy is modeling it. So you have to make sure your 4 areas are in line so that they can understand how to put their 4 areas in a line as well. Not the easiest thing to do, but it is in practice. It's a science and an art. It takes time, it takes precision, but it's something that once you get it, it makes things a lot easier in your life. I'm gonna take the chart down for a second, and then we're gonna dive in to the activity. All right, I hope that the chart was able to provide some clarity on how we relate to people different. But I wanted to end with the exercise, and I would encourage you to try this with some of the young people in your life. And this exercise is called Healthy Relationship. How do you know? And what do I do here? So I used to do this with my groups all the time. I used to say, all right, we're going to talk about healthy relationships. I used to go to a whiteboard. You can just use a sheet of paper, and you can just say, all right, I want you to tell me all the things that you can think of that go into a healthy relationship. And typically when people do this activity, they think about dating. So they'll say things like loyalty, respect. Sometimes they'll say money. They'll say, you want somebody who's honest. You want somebody who's there for you, who listens, who cares, who loves you. They'll say all these things. And when you get to about 10 to 12 of these things on the list, stop them. Say, all right, perfect. And then this is where you get to the how do you know part. So then you ask these young people, all right, we listed all these wonderful things. We got about 10 or 12 of these things on the list. Raise your hand if you've seen a relationship that has all 10 or 12 of these things on there, right? So you can start with whatever number you want. So raise your hand if you've seen all 10 or 12 of these things in a relationship. And, you'll see some hands go up. You might not see a lot go up. And I was like, okay. Raise your hand if you've seen 8 of these things in a relationship. You see a few more hands go up. Say, okay. Raise your hand if you've seen 5 of these qualities in a relationship. A lot more hands go up. And then I'll end and say, raise your hand if you've seen at least 3 of these things in the relationships that are around you. And then almost everyone's hand goes up. And this exercise is done to be an eye-opener. And the eye-opener is this. Oftentimes, we can list the things that go into a healthy relationship. However, we don't always see them. And unfortunately, where we are in society today is we don't get a lot of opportunity to see healthy relationships in front of us. And since that is, we may know the things that we want in a healthy relationship, but it's hard to identify those. And this is why I bring up modeling. Because if you don't have those healthy relationships, it's hard for your child to mimic or to model after anything. And it also can become hypocritical if you're telling them you need to have these things in your relationship and you don't have them as well. So healthy relationships, this is a communal practice. It's not just an individual thing. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that we can have when it comes to healthy relationships. Is the best way to teach them, the best way to encourage them is to model them. And a lot of young people are learning. They're learning about how to relate to people. And hopefully the chart I showed you can be a guide Hopefully this exercise can be an eye opener as well. Because when I ask folks, when is the last time you've seen a relationship that has had most of those qualities? They'll tell me something like The Cosby Show. And if I'm not mistaken, The Cosby Show went off the air in the early 90s, which means we're almost 30 plus years since we've seen something that's that healthy. And that's unfortunate. So we have to do better to make sure that our young people have an opportunity to, one, know what healthy relationships are, and the two, to create them. I am Brandon Jones. This is the Teen Whisperer. I hope that you were able to get something constructive out of today's episode. And remember, you might not be the problem, parents, but you definitely could be the solution. Until next time, peace.
You've been listening to the Teen Whisperer podcast with Jason Clopton, known to his clients as JC the Counselor. Check back every Tuesday for new episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts. Find out more and connect with Jason at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
At Hy-Vee, we take pride in being part of the communities we serve. In 2021, we donated more than 14 million meals, and this year, we're committed to doing even more. For over 90 years, we've been the place that people turn in time of need, and we take that very seriously. That's why we're loading our semis full of food this week and making deliveries across the Midwest to help families this Easter. To join our effort, simply donate when you're at the checkout. Together, we can make a big difference for those in need.
Children's Minnesota, the leader in specialized healthcare for kids, is here to raise awareness, standards, the bar, the stakes, the question, the curtain. On raising kids' health to the highest priority, kids need equal access to healthcare, more pediatric expertise, a voice for change. Kids need us, all of us. So let's raise them up. Children's Minnesota, the kid experts.
For millions of Americans, the pandemic impacted our financial situations, and a lot of people lost their jobs. But that should not mean you have to lose your house if you can't pay for your mortgage. Listen, no need to feel ashamed if you missed a payment or two or three, because there's a local organization that's willing to help you get caught up on those payments so you can keep your home. Let me tell you about the Minnesota Home Ownership Center. It's a nonprofit whose sole purpose is to prevent you from going into foreclosure. The Minnesota Home Ownership Center has a network of organizations around the state to review everything with you, explain your options, and then advocate for you to get the help you need. And get this, they won't charge you because it's all free. Check out hocmn.org or give them a call at 651-410-1086 to set up an appointment. You worked hard to get into that house. Let Minnesota Home Ownership Center help you stay in it.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.